Hello and welcome to PHNX Cardinals on a Fan Mock Friday presented by our friends at OG's Flavoring Fridays. I'm Johnny Venerable. He is Brack. Welcome to your premier Arizona Cardinal podcast. I mentioned OG's. Check them out. Not your average cannabis-infused gummy. They absolutely positively knock it out of the park. Head on over ogbrands.com and check out their two newest gummies. Brack to my right, Damon Dog behind the mic. We have had a banner week of trade speculation as it relates to our sweet baby Arizona Cardinals, and JJ McCarthy's pro day did nothing to distinguish those trade talks, Bo.
No, it didn't. As far as what, he kind of said all the right things. He made all the right throws, and we knew this, right? We've seen this. This is a tale as old as pre-draft workouts go, where you look good in shorts. Has anybody not look good at their pro day? Has anybody said, you know what? I didn't really like how he looked in shorts. He kind of underwhelmed throwing the wide open wide receivers and going back, calling and just making plays that he knows, backwards and forwards. I didn't think he looked that great.
Can I tell you? I thought you were going with, has anybody ever not looked good in shorts? And I was going to say, my wife thinks I look terrible in shorts every time I wear them with my white man thighs. I'm not allowed to wear cargo shorts. I thought that's where you were headed.
Well,
so
I didn't know that
question,
fact.
Yeah, it's fun stuff you're learning about your boys here on a Friday. Man. Oh, geez. No, Zach Wilson had a great pro day. Johnny Manziel, remember former president, who was it? It was George Bush Sr. was at Johnny Manziel's pro day on a golf cart. Yeah. Pro days are wild. And, we're here for it, though. I'm here to pub up JJ McCarthy, as are the Arizona Cardinals. We want the good vibes going. That is, unless you're rooting for a certain maybe Hall of Fame level prospect at receiver to stick and pick at level 4. But I don't know, man. It does feel like all the Twitter tea leaves right now are basically coming to the bat of JJ. He's going top 3 or 4, top 3, 4, 5. That's where we've gotten here in late March. It's wild.
Yeah, it was a star-studded affair too, as far as NFL front office execs and coaching staff members. Didn't get the full Vikings contingent, but we got enough, right? We got their quarterback coach there. We got some New England Patriots. Elliott Wolf, ever heard of him? If you haven't, he's the guy that's kind of making the decisions.
I'm sure a lot of people haven't.
Yeah, I know. I don't blame you if you haven't heard of superstar Elliott Wolf, who holds on to the 3rd overall pick, and it doesn't have an official title with the Patriots yet. But yeah, I mean, you've got teams that are intrigued, but also you've got 17, and they have 17 players that were part of the pro day today for Michigan from the national champion Wolverines roster.
Well, Michigan's team, I would be disappointed if Monti Ossenfort did not draft a Michigan player in this draft. With the reputation that they have, Monti Ossenfort, it's been kind of known that he's got a significant presence within the Midwest. I think he used to be a Midwest scout dating back to his time in Tennessee. And then, of course, coming out west from New England to the Midwest. I think Michigan's on the stop for the Cardinals en route to maybe Columbus, and you're scouting Marvin Harrison Jr. over the course of the college football season. But love the engagement in the chat already. Like this video. Josh coming out firing with this comment. MHJ is going to the Cards. We're not going to get enough picks to make it worth it. I would say I hope that that's true. I can't definitively say that that's going to be true, because I think the closer you get to the draft, the more people can talk themselves into prospects. And it's why if you're a veteran quarterback waiting to sign like a Ryan Tannehill, you're probably going to be waiting until after the draft. Whereas the closer you get, it's always said, try to sign your big money free agent deal in March, because when executives, scouts alike get to April, it is tunnel vision. You fall in love with a prospect. And I'm going to tell you right now, after all this kind of whining and dining to JJ McCarthy, his family getting to know him, the fact, here's what I do like. If I'm a QB needy team, he's 20 years old. Harbaugh's giving him the stamp of approval. I do think some team is going to come to the Arizona Cardinals with a fair offer. Now, do they take it? That remains to be seen, Bo.
Yeah, I mean, that's why you kind of have to wait with bated breath all the way up until you hear that famous ESPN jingle, right? Dun, 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 with the draft pick being in, and Roger Goodell takes the strut to the podium and says, with the 4th pick, the Arizona Cardinals select out of Ohio State wide receiver Marvin Harrison Jr. And then we absolutely go nuts at our draft party out at Gila River Resorts and Casinos Wild Horse Pass. But until then, nobody can sleep easy. Nobody can kind of just take it easy and watch all the rest of the pro days and the rest of this pre-draft process, or turn on NFL Live or NFL Network or consume this show without it looming, without it being there like Michael Myers with his steak knife ready to take down their dreams. Yeah, it's a nightmare to a lot of people out there. I mean, it's a polarizing subject. Like the fact that we've spent the week kind of broaching this, it really sheds to how realistic it is. And for the man himself to sit up there with his head coach Jonathan Gannon and say, yeah, we've got a big neon sign that says we're open and there's not going to be a closed sign until they make the pick. And that's, I wish I had something that was, like a nice, calming, warm blanket that would say it's going to be all right and Marv's going to be a Cardinal. But yeah, you can't definitively say that.
You're a wet blanket in a lot of aspects. So yeah, I agree with that. Let's get to the super chat. Rudy here, $1.99. What if McCarthy goes to New England at 3? I would assume Drake Maye becomes a Minnesota Viking at some point, or a New York Giant in some kind of trade up. Here's what I think about that, Rudy. That I would think that these teams have done enough homework, if that happens, on Drake Maye to say to themselves, we got to go up and get him. The pre-draft hype, the fact that, like Caleb Williams, he had a better sophomore season than he did junior season. I also think that's not likely for one specific reason, Rudy, and this could be arrogance on my part. I feel like McCarthy, while more talented, is too similar to Mac Jones, national championship quarterback, a little bit immobile, to J.J. McCarthy. Like, it's not apples and oranges. They're not the same prospect. I think New England getting Drake Maye, East Coast kid already, played on the same coast, right? A moldable piece of clay like Justin Herbert. Like, I like J.J. McCarthy fine. He's not, and I don't love Drake Maye. He's not the athlete of Drake Maye. He doesn't have the arm strength. He doesn't have the mobility. He could get there at some point. You don't think Drake Maye's a better prospect than J.J. McCarthy?
No. I think as far as arm talent, yeah, Drake Maye's got him.
Well, the arm strength thing, actually, J.J. McCarthy registered the 3rd fastest throw in NFL Combine history after Josh Allen and Joe Milton, who are huge guys. So that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, he's got good arm strength. But, I mean, I think as far as what you're able to see, the throws all over the field and some of the touch passes, and Drake Maye is raw in his own right. But then you look at some of the J.J. McCarthy like high school footage, like the guy's, he is a pretty sick athlete. Like, I think
I mean, yeah, it's probably disrespectful. I said it was arrogant to compare him to Mac Jones. I just feel like there are too many similarities with the setup that Mac Jones had and the setup that McCarthy had at Michigan. Whereas Maye, you could sell the fan base on, you're getting your own kind of Josh Allen molded piece of clay, Justin Herbert. And also, nobody thought that you could get Drake Maye at 3 pre-draft season, pre-college football season. That's a gift to you. It's like, it's a gift the Cardinals could get Marvin at 4. So I still think Jaden Daniels to the Commanders, I feel like, is a done deal. Don't you feel like that's basically a done deal at this point?
It certainly feels that way. Unless, it's been a massive smokescreen. But as far as we know, Cliff, and how Cliff likes to operate offensively and what he prefers as far as the skill set from his quarterback. And if you're looking for somebody that profiles like a Kyler and can play off schedule, and I'm not saying he's like Mahomes at all, but can play off schedule a little bit. Yeah, it's Jaden Daniels, right? It's Jaden Daniels, and I think they're blown away probably by his tape. And they would probably go with the Heisman Trophy winner over a guy who, as we mentioned, he struggled in his previous season with the Carolina Tar Heels. But did he have the infrastructure offensively like Daniels had in the SEC with the Tigers with 2 first-round wide receivers? No. But I think, Drake Maye didn't do himself any favors this season when he had an opportunity to put up some big numbers against some bad ACAC teams like NC State and Virginia. Instead, he struggled. So, Drake Maye, J.J. McCarthy are 2 prospects that I think the jury still remains out. Where the 2 top guys, it feels like they're sharpening at the top of the draft. Where these other guys, they've got their own respective, red flags that the NFL is doing their best right now in vetting them, and especially the teams that are interested.
Yeah, Albert Breer was on NBC Sports in Boston. I think it was yesterday.
Yeah,
basically saying that he has heard Commanders, Jaden Daniels feels like they're in lockstep with each other. And then he said if that's true, that would mean the Patriots would select Drake Maye at 3. Like JJ McCarthy wasn't really even in the conversation, and he's as tapped in as anybody. And I would imagine that the Patriots over the course of this season did a lot of work on Drake Maye in their backyard. So what are some of the experts in this area suggesting? Well, let's talk about this. JJ McCarthy's pro day. I say experts. We give Matt Miller a lot of grief on this show. He was in attendance at JJ McCarthy's pro day. Here's what he had to say. Miller saying McCarthy's throwing session lasted about 25 minutes. It was, quote, clean, just 2 clear misses. He showcased zip and touch while hitting a lot of the deep routes. He told me he wanted to show his touch placement and did well there. McCarthy has easy power and velocity. And again, like he's got a lot of good things going. I think for him to go to a place like Minnesota where you can sit for a while is the best possible avenue in a dome with a loaded roster, especially offensively. I don't think McCarthy in talent-deprived New England can do a lot for you, especially in year one. Whereas like Drake Maye, throw him out there in October, let him out-athlete some people, and cook with some rookies. At the end of the day, it's like we have heard now definitively the Giants and the Vikings are all in on JJ McCarthy. And so it's going to be a slugfest, Bo, as to who can get up to where to get him. And this is what's important for a lot of people to understand, because I still see a lot of like mock drafts with, I get it. It's pre-draft, but it's like there is no reality in which the Vikings trade up with the Chargers pre-draft. Like that's not happening. I don't understand how people can formulate that. Like you want to say on the clock, this is going to happen. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. But a lot of people on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it are suggesting that the Chargers and the Vikings could do a deal tomorrow. That would leave you so vulnerable to the Giants who like him to leapfrog you.
I don't even think that the Giants GM makes the call to Ossenfort. Ossenfort calls the Giants GM if they pull that deal off.
Like, let's just do a mini trade.
This is the easiest move you've got to make. Send me, your second rounder. That's it. That's all it's going to cost you. And we've got who we want. And the Vikings, like, what are they going to do at 5? They're going to take. I mean, they could, trade back out. They could, but it's a disaster and it's blown up in their face.
They'd have to almost take you'd have to take a Bo Nix and just be like, this is our plan all along. We knew this was going to happen. It's a fireable offense. And with how much these teams vet this and then go through these scenarios, there is no way nobody in the building of smart people in Minnesota would say, you know what, this is a good idea.
Yeah.
It's legitimately one of the worst ideas in the history of pro sports.
And Monti Ossenfort would be like, hey, you see what they did? Can you believe that? Yeah, let's do it. Let's just pull the deal off. Yeah, I'll move down. Whatever you want. Bag of footballs. Yeah. Unbelievable. All right. See you later. I mean, it would be an egregious mistake. And you're right. I think Minnesota Vikings fans are way smarter than that to understand that, that is not solidify yourself, even though all signs should point to the Arizona Cardinals. If they stick and pick, they're not taking a quarterback. But we know that, especially when you've got the general manager this week saying, we're open, we're always going to be open. It's just, it would be a horrible move and hilarious. I mean, the Vikings are an organization. I mean, when I was growing up, they missed their pick. They were late getting the pick in. Like they dropped down a spot in the NFL draft first round.
Oh, yeah. The year they were in the 20s, right?
And they missed it. The clock expired, and the next team was like, okay, we're going to run our pickup to get selected because you guys ran out of time, and they had to pick a pick later.
Bad. Real bad. Josh Burlinson, we've got 6 picks in 3 rounds in one of the deepest drafts in recent history. That's true. We don't need to trade for more picks in the future. I agree with that. Just profit off the smart moves Monty made last year. And I think they're weighing that right now. And Josh, I think to this podcast, you're making a lot of sense. To this fan base, you're making a lot of sense. I don't want to see a bunch of future picks in 2025 and 2026. Like if you're dead set on trading down, if somebody blows you away, again, then you have to do what Minnesota's doing where you're accumulating more assets for this year. to entice somebody for this year, because we already know next year's draft, while undecided and unknown, is not as good as this year. It's just not. So that's why if you're the Vikings, you go up and you get 23 and you have 11 and you got to add more to it because you don't have a second rounder now. So I'm with you. But at the same time, it's like Ossenfort and Gannon got like 5 or 6 year deals. They are not going anywhere, at least for hopefully indefinitely. So like, I get it. People are putting pressure on use the picks this year that you've accumulated. It's time to cash in. I think they'd love to be in a mindset where every draft they've got double-digit picks, high, top 100 picks to navigate and keep doubling and tripling down on it.
It's nice to think of that security, right? We always want security, don't we? We want like the financial security of it. We just want to put our hands behind our head and kick our legs up, right, and relax and watch our money work for itself, or our draft capital work for itself in this instance. And like with all these rampant trade rumors, and you got 2 viable options, one within striking distance in the Giants to where you could pull off a trade and still get what everybody wants, or you got the Vikings where you have to give up something even when you're getting so much in return, in the potential of 3 first-round picks. And that seems to be the baseline. But, the haul of picks from a team-building standpoint, it makes a whole lot of sense. And you can make a case for it. I think you absolutely could. And there's just going to be naysayers just because they want a certain player and they fell in love with a prospect. But Marvin Harrison Jr., there's still the case to be made for him, regardless. You've got Washington, and you've got even the top 3 teams: Chicago, Washington, New England. They have been given the opportunity to trade out, and they said thanks, but no thanks. We're going to do it, and we're going to go with one player instead. Now, it's at the most important position in all of sports, at quarterback, but still, when you have a player with elite playmaking ability like Marvin Harrison Jr., who is not just like pro ready, he's almost star ready coming to this game. Coming from Ohio State to the NFL level, he's not just pro ready, he's star ready, right? I mean, I don't think you can deny that. And when you got like the Biletnikoff winner, you've got a guy that's gone over 1,000 yards receiving 2 consecutive seasons, what's never happened in Ohio State history. He made history at a place in Columbus that it's tough to crack the record books. He caught 14 touchdown passes from C.J. Stroud and then rag arm Kyle McCord. 14 touchdown catches from both quarterbacks.
Yeah.
I mean, he's regardless of who's throwing him the football, a surefire NFL prospect or a ham sandwich, he's making plays. And like Monti Ossenfort, you can look at it and you can try to read the tea leaves from what he said earlier this week and like what's gone on. But this offseason, the Arizona Cardinals have built this roster and continue to have a huge glaring hole at the X wide receiver position. And there's no player that's more well-equipped in this offseason, including free agency, the trade market, and the NFL draft, to play that role better than Marvin Harrison Jr.
And Marvin's actions would allude to the fact that he knows where he's going, and he's kind of sitting out and basically saying, I'll see you guys in Glendale in the fall. Jalen Blair, go ahead.
I just think when you talk about it too, it's like, I know he signed a long-term deal, and I know that there's probably a lot more patience that's being preached from even Monti Ossenfort's bosses, and there's less meddling, and there's more just faith in the guy that's calling the shots. But if he passes up on a guy like Marvin Harrison Jr., like there's the missed opportunity of having Marvin on your team, going elsewhere and succeeding. The short-term, long-term consequences of that and missing out on a playmaker of his level. And then you got like the fans' discontent, right? Like you're going to have a fan base that is going to be split on your decision, regardless of the haul of players.
Is it even fair to say split? I think the fan base would be majority. Yeah, the large majority of the fan base would be upset. And
then the pressure it puts on Monti Ossenfort on future drafts in this regular season and what the results are going to be. Like the pressure to win, even more so without Marvin Harrison, rises because of what he's potentially going to do elsewhere in the league.
Jalen Blair, $10 super chat. Here's some good news. Sounds like teams aren't expecting Arizona to move. Tony Pauline had some reporting today suggesting Cards aren't moving and the Chargers are more the spot. Albright on Twitter kept suggesting Chargers too. So it's funny you brought up Benjamin Albright, Jalen. By the way, thank you for the support, friend of the program. We appreciate that super chat. Albright was speaking on behalf of compensation, which is something that you and I have talked about all week, and the fact that I'm sorry, a lot of these experts on Twitter seem to be underscoring what exactly it would take to get up into the top 5. Benjamin Albright saying it is theoretically possible, but I will tell you that NFL teams are using the floor compensation model, the floor, not the ceiling, as the Niners trade to 3, which is 3 1s and a third, which is what your boys suggested earlier this week. 3 1s and a sweetener for that quarterback 3, whether it be in Arizona or the Chargers. And again, Ossenfort, Bo, very much of that mindset. So again, I think if you're concerned about the Arizona Cardinals trading out, that's fair. If you're concerned about the Cardinals getting swindled in the package, I would not stress about it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've read, and we went through some of the scenarios yesterday, and even like working with somebody's point scale, where, you know, they try to make you where you can make, as far as draft capital, for draft capital and how the points even out, you can use the old Jimmy Johnson chart, but you got to throw that out the window because it doesn't start there. It starts with what Benjamin Albright outlined there and what we've been outlining the entire time. It starts with 3 firsts and it with a sweetener, a day 2 pick. And that's where you can work off of it. Outside of that, like, it's a non-starter, I think, for Monti Ossenfort. Like, he already got a better deal last season. We talk about Trey Lance. That was back with the quarterback tax. Monti Ossenfort pulled off a deal that's pretty comparable to that last season, where he almost got he got the Texans' 2nd round pick, which was the first selection of the 2nd round. He essentially got 3 firsts, even though he didn't have the 5th-year option for, you know, the pick that he eventually traded away to trade back up in the draft for Paris Johnson Jr. So, you know, Vikings fans and any other team, I've seen the Raiders is a team, and the Broncos continue to be in a conversation, but they don't have enough capital to
get out of here, Broncos. What?
Right, but teams in that vicinity, like, they kind of get this false sense that it's not going to cost that much. Like, in order to get Monti Ossenfort to budge, you have to start there because he's not going to take anything less.
Also, like, this is not Dirt McGirt draft 2013 when like half the players are going to be ass in the top 10. This is in a blue chip elite draft. Let me spell it out for you. It is 20 times better than last year, right? There's no Tyree Wilson sneaking into the top 10 this year, folks. There's no Peter Skoronski T-Rex arms. It's going to be coming around pick 7, 8, or 9. These are the best of the best college football
running back.
Yeah, right. Let's take, like, I like Jahmyr Gibbs and Bijan Robinson. They're not sneaking into the top 15 this year, folks. Yeah. So if you're pivoting off of a premium pick, a blue chip pick, Minnesota Vikings, and you're asking the Cardinals from going from 4 to 11, you better just say, pick any of our draft picks for the next 3 years. Put the list together and we'll approve it. That's what you have to do. Like, I'm sorry, your first pick is outside the comfort zone for me and many Cardinal fans. Like, I think that's why most, if you do trade down, would assume that the Giants make a lot of sense. You get a Malik Neighbors, a Joe Alt, maybe a Dallas Turner a little bit further down. 11 is like, and I like this draft a lot, you miss the top blue chippers. There's no guarantee of anything, right? You're in that next tier of corner, D tackle, Brian Thomas Jr., maybe OT4, but like, the Cardinals deserve a top 10 pick after this season. They are not good enough to water it down further. So I'm with you there. But yeah, like these packages, 11 is not good enough. 23 is a late first round pick. Somebody mentioned this on Twitter, and people put this in the chat all the time. It's not really 3 1s. You are swapping ones, and then you get an additional 2 first rounders, all of which, and we've emphasized this, every pick that you get back in this deal will be worse than the pick that you have at pick 4. Every one of them. Some of them at 23 and maybe even the 2025 first next year will be significantly worse. You are watering it down. Look what the Cardinals just endured with the Houston Texans. So if you're Ossenfort, I'm with you. You have to be blown away to the point where you look at your owner, you look at Dave Sears and Jonathan Gann, it's just like, how do we not do this? We have to. If you're not intent to move, and it's the, 2021, 2022 housing market, and somebody comes to you and says, you know what, your house is worth $500,000. Here's $1 million.
Right.
We're going to make you a $1 million offer. We're going to go over. We're not getting this approved by the bank. Here's $500,000 cash. Guess what? I'm leaving the neighborhood. Bye. See ya. That's what Ossenfort would do.
Right. Vikings fans, I mean, they're scanning Zillow and they're just looking at home prices and they're not factoring everything else.
We can lowball them here. And
Right.
oh, look, they're not at the top of a cul-de-sac here. And look at the HOA fees. No, cut the shit. We're not doing that.
And then you're like, oh shit, what are all these surcharges here? What's the we love Marvin Harrison Jr. tax? What's the quarterback tax? What's the generational talent that we're missing out on in the top 10 tax? Oh shit.
Yeah.
I can't afford this. It's like, you're right. Go take the pick you just traded up for and go talk to I don't know, the Jets who are at 10 or
go get Brock. Hey, Vikings, you want Brock Bowers? He's yours. Congratulations. Brock Bowers is going to play quarterback for you. You're down there in the slums with the Broncos and Bo Nix with his rag arm. Michael Penix, who's 100 years old and 4 surgeries. I'm not knocking the kid, but like you want to play in that sandbox? I'm sorry. Maybe Sam Darnold and Michael Penix going to win you the playoff game?
That's the biggest. You just trash the kid. You're like, I'm not knocking him. His rag arm, and then he's 104 years old. But other than that, all due respect.
Isn't Michael Penix in his early 30s? Isn't that true? I'm a bad person. Let's get to these super chats. Libertarian Sasquatch, not as optimistic as some. $1.99. I've accepted this will just be an Arizona what if.
The Marvin Harrison Jr. Like, what if they selected him?
Yeah.
I hope not, man. It's a long list. It's a long list of
Adrian Peterson comes to mind.
I mean, you just looked at the Cardinals franchise. You could look across the board. It's just it'll take your breath away when you think about it. You know, the Arizona Valley sports landscape of what ifs. Charlie, we love that Charlie's here every day.
He's
now.
great.
Yeah,
I welcome it. I hope he sticks around after the draft.
Yeah, he's just sitting there. He's Charlie from It's Always Sunny. He's got the cork board and he's got the strings and he's trying to get Marvin Harrison Jr. to LA wearing a Chargers uniform, that baby blue. Charlie Sinclair, 199 super chat. Marvin Harrison Sr.'s first TD was from Harbaugh. Of course, he wore the
that's wild. I didn't know that. That's
Colts
nuts.
Uniform back in the day. We'd have to fact check it.
I'm sure he's right.
Charlie.
Sure.
I mean, before Peyton Manning was throwing passes in Indy, it was Jim Harbaugh.
And then Harbaugh went to the Chargers right after that. Full circle. But his son's coming to Arizona, Charlie. We hope. We pray. Illadre, $1.99. This franchise needs a break. Draft Marvin Harrison Jr., period. And I think that you can't overstate that enough, Illadre.
No.
It's one thing to team build, and you can still build a team without extra first-round picks. Teams do it every year. Ravens don't have multiple firsts every year. They hit on every draft pick. Be smart like them. But here's what I will say. This town is a football town when this team is humming, and there's nothing that can reinvigorate this town like Marvin Harrison Jr. There's no prospect that can do it.
I agree. Let me get your thoughts on this because you've had some interactions with Monty, and we've heard him talk quite a bit. And
you talk to him more than I do.
Yeah, but I wanted to get your thoughts on this. As far as, do you think that he buys into that? So, like, ultimately,
yes, I think so.
Yeah.
I do. I think that's a real thing because I think they were at the home games last year, and I know winning cures all, and Marvin can help you win. I mean, the Niner game last year, Cowboys game last year, hell, the Seahawks game last year. I mean, you want to return State Farm Stadium to prominence with this franchise. Number 11 would get people into the seats. Hell, Patrick Peterson.
I'm sorry, what did you just call him?
Number 11, Larry Fitzgerald.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about Marv as number 11.
I mean, I would give him number 11. Yeah, I haven't backed off of that. But I think, again, it's the Shields argument. It's the Dick's Sporting Goods argument. We got K1 jerseys and booted jerseys.
Mm-hmm.
We need a sex
appeal.
We got
Hollywood jerseys on discount. Big time discount.
My son came up to me the other day. He was like, "Dad, you were right. I should have gotten a Trey McBride, but I wanted the Hollywood jersey." I'm like, "Sorry, no exchanges. Wear it. You got to wear it. You got to wear it with pride." Did you see somebody posted on Twitter? Hollywood Brown hasn't had a 50+ yard catch in like 4 years.
He's such a big play receiver. He's got elite speed.
That's nuts.
That's crazy.
50+ yard catch since he was with the Ravens.
Why even have him on your team?
Look, KC's convinced that they're going to unlock him. Everybody's calling it a bargain deal. I hope it works out for him. Puts in the work, but
it was cheap. But
yeah,
Like, he's getting paid less per year than Kendrick Bourne, who got a 3-year deal,
which is crazy. But
can't stay healthy. That's the biggest thing. He's not healthy.
He's not.
Body's breaking down because he's. I mean, it's just when you're smaller, you break down.
Right.
Take shots from guys. I mean, that's what happened to Rondale Moore.
You play against these big physical corners, safeties. You take a couple hits a game, especially with the target share that you would command as somebody that's supposed to be a wide receiver one. Yeah, the wear and tear is very real.
Did Larry ever miss games? 6'3", built like a Mack truck. No, like big people.
Huge ass.
Yeah.
Just huge donk. Just, I mean, he was well built.
Get Britton Golden talking about that thing.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Ben Cork, this show's off the rails. OG Fridays, $5. We're doing mocks. Bo and I are going to do mocks. We got fan mocks coming up. Bo's talking about Fitz's ass. Damon Dog called into Miss Cleo the psychic and just asked her about drafting MHJ. Easy problem solved. Is Miss Cleo still around? I'm not sure.
I don't think so. I think she got taken down. But if you were like me, you grew up at the time I did. I'm sure Ben did as well. Like, you used to watch Comedy Central and it was past midnight. It was Miss Cleo every other commercial.
I wouldn't even know how to get my parents' credit card to do that, though.
Well, you'll give them your Desert Financial Cardinals debit card, and Damon will go call whatever the number is for Miss Cleo, and we'll get.
They have my Desert Financial has fraud alerts, thankfully, and they protect us from calling sites like that and shows like that. Speaking of Desert Financial, it's the official credit union, of course, of the Venerable household, PHNX Sports, and our Arizona Cardinals for more than 84 years. Desert Financial has been Arizona's largest, most trusted local credit union, dedicating to creating, guess what, exceptional experiences by giving back to the community and providing financial solutions, folks, that make lives better. And again, we mentioned it. They got credit cards, they got savings accounts, checking accounts. I have that, mortgages, loans, credit card investment options, and more. And the best part is they're local here, obviously, in Arizona. There are a ton of locations, and I want my money when I want it, fast, quick, and in a hurry. I don't want to pay a bunch of egregious ATM fees. I want to be able to go and grab my cash, have a good night on the town with my wife, take my kids out for a movie. I just need some walking around money. I get it from Desert Financial Credit Union. And on top of that, I rep the Red Sea. You should too with the Arizona Cardinal Visa debit card. Go to desertfinancial.com/Cardinals to get started. Open up a free checking account online right now, today. Takes a matter of minutes. Debit card will be in the mail shortly after. desertfinancial.com/Cardinals to get started.
Good way to maybe boost your Desert Financial checking or savings account is with our friends over at Prize Picks. We love Prize Picks. You get that $100 price match deposit up to $100. Big cash payouts, fast, secure withdrawals, 24/7 live support, and it's easy. It's simple. You're not going against a bunch of people who make a living off of this. You're just going against the numbers. You're just saying more or less on several different stats, and it's simple. Just pick more or less, and you get to green out and cash in with our friends over at Prize Picks. It's that easy. Like, you can pick the over, the more or less on Steph Curry 3-pointers or Devin Booker points in a game, or think of a stat. You can find it. You just say more or less, and you can find it with our friends over at Prize Picks. You get that $100 price match guarantee right now. Also, you can check out. You just go to prizepicks.com and you put in /PHNX, and that's going to lock you in for that deposit match. Prizepicks.com/PHNX. Use the code PHNX. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. So we're a little light as far as the likes, and I think, outside of calling up Miss Cleo, the good mojo we want to get out into the universe to get Marvin Harrison Jr. here in the desert, just hit that like on this video. A like equals good mojo to get Marv to the desert. How about that?
Here is some good mojo. How about a 1999 super chat from our guy? He's a silver fox. Love this. Down payment for that 4th rounder, boys. The down payment is basically your entire draft for the next 2 years would be my down payment for the 4th overall pick. Silver Fox, we appreciate the super chat and the support on that level. I'm gonna be real with you. Is there any package that would suffice Cardinal fans? You open up Twitter one morning and the Cardinals have traded the pick. Is there any package that you could think of where Cardinal fans are excited about?
That it was the Godfather deal that
yeah, just like, man, I love Marvin Harrison Jr. This is a great deal for Monti Ossenfort. Is there any deal that you can think of that would transpire, like the fourth overall pick down payment that our guy Silver Fox is alluding to?
I mean, if there was a path, and there is, to getting back into the top 8, maybe. I think
but you'd have to do that on draft day.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, that's the only thing I think that would truly ease Cardinals' minds. Like, as far as the draft package, like, I don't know if there's enough capital that people, like you said, would see it on their timeline and say, this doesn't make me feel uneasy, or take the sting off of losing out on Marv away.
Tony saying not a single one, Johnny. Zypher saying for the casual fan, none. I agree with that. Like, Ben alludes to something I think a lot of people would attest to. If it had Justin Jefferson in it, which isn't happening, and the contract and the Vikings, inability to trade them, want to trade him, but it would have to include a star player. But like, the Giants have nobody you would want. The Vikings aren't trading any of their, elite offensive personnel. And I don't think the Cardinals want draft picks. So
let's say a YouTube user's got one that he feels would be, let's see. Yes, trade down 2 spots. We get an extra 2nd and 3rd. So not a trade with the Vikings, but one with the Giants. I think that would be one that you could stomach, and you can continue to do the mock drafts where you could either get Marv somehow, or you could get yourself one of the top 3 receivers. No doubt about it. I like this from Marvin Harrison Jr. jumping in the chat. I am him. I've been him. I'm the himulation. I'm the himulator. I'm the Himbuck2. Doctor got my DNA results. Turns out I'm 100 Himalayan.
Did you see the video? I think Cards Update, good follow on Twitter. Great follow. Posted on, or maybe it was K1 since day one. One of the two. Good follows regardless on Twitter. It was Marvin Sr. and Marvin Harrison Jr. at maybe Ohio State's Pro Day. And they got interviewed by NFL Network, and the guy was just like, where you guys been? And then, like, it was kind of weird because Marvin Sr. talked 90% of the time, and Marvin said like one sentence. And I'm just like, is it kind of weird that his dad's like always around? Does that concern you at all?
No.
Even on camera, though, he can't, like, this dude's going to be a top 5 pick and sign a big contract.
It's just this pre-draft process. I just think things were weird with Kyler in the pre-draft process. And once once these guys sign their deals, they become official professionals. I know it's different now because you got NIL, but I think it's such, you're walking on eggshells all draft season. And I think that he's just trying to help them navigate it. And then once it becomes a pro and you got, different people, like the organization provides you with a media team and all that stuff. So
I also think it's nothing's wrong. I don't think anything's wrong with it, Marvin. Here's what I do think. I think his dad is the reason why he's not participating in the pre-draft process. So his dad, with the encouragement of him not doing these things, feels like, okay, if you're going to take the brunt of it, like, I'll stand and be there side by side. And that I do respect. He's not saying like, go and take this on the teeth yourself. Like, if he was having a conventional off season, like Caleb Williams, going to the pro day, speaking of the combine, like, he's gonna have to do all that by himself. So
if he gets drafted by the Cardinals and it's Marvin Harrison Sr. up there fielding most of the questions, then I'm like, okay.
Bo's like trying to at the opening press conference, and he's like, hey, because Marv Sr. calls Marvin Harrison Jr. Do you think we're gonna call him Jr. in Arizona?
I mean, there was Fitz and there was Big Fitz.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, a lot of Fitz, a lot of juniors.
Weird. I think Marv Sr. is his agent of sorts. He doesn't have a real agent.
Definitely.
They're just trying to get to the finish line, I think.
Yeah.
They'll draft. But you're like, to my point, like if Friday, day 2 of the NFL draft, and we get to talk to Marvin Harrison Jr. before the rest of the draft gets going, and it's Marv Sr. up there fielding all the questions, and I'm like, okay.
No way. That would never happen.
No, it's not. It's not going to happen. That's what I'm saying. It's going to end at that time.
It's not going to end. Our mock drafts, they'll go on forever and ever. We're going to do some fan mocks here in a little bit, but Bo had the bright idea of doing a mock draft, just he and I and Damon Dog, part of our ongoing series with Empire, our friends at Empire today.
That's right.
Building your future. Empire Today. It's the mock draft 2024 presented by Empire Today. Carpet and flooring. Now, Bo, we wanted to do one from the perspective of what? The Vikings or the Giants or both? What were your thoughts on this?
Let's do one of each, and let's just get through the first 3 rounds of each. How about that?
Okay. All right. Well, this is going to be one of these situations in which we're going to have to come to a conclusion fairly quickly if we're going to get through 2 mocks as big boys and decide exactly what we want to do. So let me know when you can see my screen, gentlemen.
Are you going to sit? Yeah, I can see it. It looks great.
How about this public versus PFF board? That's your one kind of saving grace if you're our boy Trevor Sikkema. We're not doing this. Jaden Daniels falling to the 3rd round. We're doing the public board, baby. That's the public, meaning the NFL. This is the NFL board.
All right.
You ready to do this?
Let's click on the cards. Let's go 3 rounds. Which one you want to do here? You want to do cards, trade down, potentially with the
Giants first.
Giants first? All right.
Yeah. So we're going to start slow here. We've got starting the draft. Caleb going first. Drake Maye going second. And then, of course, oh, geez, Marvin Harrison Jr. going 3rd to the Patriots. Wow, that's shocking.
Get out of this draft.
You're trying to do 2 drafts today. I got to start back on the homepage, get back to the simulator.
That's terrible.
Is it though? Well, do I need to go over a little bit?
That's not happening. It's not happening.
Well, call up Trevor and tell Trevor that we got a big problem.
One more time.
All right, we're trying again. Caleb Drake, JJ McCarthy, 3rd overall.
There we go.
Okay.
All right, so perfect. So you got Drake Maye, he slid, and you got 2 teams that are like, hell yeah, let's get up. Let's get the quarterback out of North Carolina. So what Johnny's got on the screen for our podcast listeners right now is 4 for 6, and then you're throwing in their 2nd and 3rd round picks. So they're going to give both day 2 picks up for the rights to get 2 spots in the draft.
Here's what I tell. It's not Gettleman. Here's what I tell the New York flunkies there. You're welcome. Here's your franchise quarterback, Drake or Jaden Daniels, who they love, by the way. You're going to get him for pennies on the dime. We're hooking you up, and we have to pass on Marvin as a result. We're offering this trade. You better accept it, and they do. Of course, they accept that trade because it's the best move they can make for their franchise. So, of course, now they have an opportunity to take Jaden Daniels, and then Roma Dunze goes to Jim Harbaugh at pick 5. Bull Brock. Let's just count our lucky stars here.
That's right. It's easy. Monti Ossenfort sprinting to the podium.
Is this the best deal of all time?
Yeah, probably. So now we have 8. Is it 8 top 100 picks?
We have 27, 35, 47, 66, 70, 71, and 90. Woo-hoo-hoo!
Johnny Newton, any concern as far as his medicals, or you just continue to beef up the defensive line?
No. We know what to do. We've done this a few times. Jordan Morgan slipping into the 1st round. You love to see that for our guy Damon Dog. TJ Tampa, thankfully, off the temptation board for Bo. Darius Robinson, sweet baby Darius, leaves right before the Cardinals pick. I think you go best interior offensive lineman here, gentlemen. I don't want a safety or an off-ball linebacker.
Right.
Zach Frazier, interior center, can play a little bit of guard. I think this is the play. What do you think?
All he's played is center, though. That's. I know we're saying that he can play all these different positions. I don't know that for sure.
I do. I know for sure.
You got Broswell, who would be, a bigger defensive end, potentially Sanastrill corner. I don't know. I think that's a little early for him. Can you scroll down a little bit with the prospects remaining? Braden
I thought we'd go Lad
YouTube user likes him, but we just addressed the interior of the defensive line. Rakestraw from Missouri. What do you like, Johnny?
I'm taking an interior offensive lineman.
Okay. Take Zach Frazier.
Broholt is under contract for 1 more year. Let's see if he can duplicate the success he had this year. This is the best value. The Cardinals, listen, if there was a quality tackle, I'd take it here. But I think you check all the big 3. Defensive line / front 7, franchise-changing receiver, and, of course, an interior offensive lineman. And, oh, by the way, we're back on the clock now at 47 with a lot of the same cast of characters, gentlemen, including Chris Braswell, that can come in and rush the passer from day one.
I like Braswell, or I like Rakestraw out of Missouri, the corner.
Yeah, I'm going to go front seven here. I'm going to
they haven't done anything. They haven't done anything. They were tied to Austin Johnson today, which made me a little bit kind of ill.
What's his sack numbers looking at? Robust? Are they robust?
He had as many sacks as you and I did for the Chargers last season.
I think we know what to do now with Braswell. You're Charles Johnson. You're playing special teams. Chris Braswell is here to take your starting job. Back on the clock here, pick 66. Ooh.
Oh, boy.
This is where you can double dip. I saw a mock draft today that had the Cardinals taking Jalen Wright with their first third rounder. I wanted to throw up. I'm ready to go offense at receiver or defensive line. You tell me what you want.
Look, I like Jenkins. I like Kyrie Jackson at the corner position, and I don't have a problem with McMillan. So let's think about this. The defensive line, because we took Johnny Newton in the first round.
Is this good right here? Is this good? Is this good?
I think your defensive line rotation, I mean, you can pretty much set it and forget it until you have to face any injuries potentially. If you get Jenkins, you've got Johnny Newton, you've got the two guys you signed, the Nichols, you got Dante Stills, Justin Jones. But I mean, I like Kyrie Jackson if you want to start to work on the secondary a little bit. But
I don't.
Okay,
you might still be here. Yeah, we can go Kyrie Jackson at 70 now. Is that your preference?
Yep.
All right,
I think
so
you're
wide
still
receivers.
Be able to find some wide receivers down the board here. Look at McMillan slide.
Is he big enough?
Yeah, he's over 6 feet.
Okay.
6'1".
He's an older player. He's a possession receiver, so he plays underneath. Dominated against Oregon. Had a really nice. I remember that game against Texas, obviously in the semifinals.
Who are the other wide receivers? You just pull up the wide receivers.
I sure can. All right, here we go. McMillan, and then we fall off a cliff a little bit. Brendan Rice at pick 90 is something to consider. The Cardinals had a private visit, top 30 visit with Brendan Rice, as they did Jacob Cowing, who's too much like Rondell. No thanks, Damon.
So you want to roll the dice potentially at a different position here? Maybe go Rice.
He's nothing like Rondell Moore. Nothing.
Now, people are knocking Cowing's size, and Damon and I both stood by him.
And that's fair.
Yeah. But he's like, I did a podcast with Greg Dortch, who's listed at 5'8", and Cowing's bigger than Greg Dortch.
Am I the same height as Rondell Moore? Yes or no?
Haven't you stood next to Rondell before?
Yeah, I want you to tell the people that I'm the same height as Rondell.
I think you're the same height. Yeah.
Nice. All right.
I think we roll the dice on a different position here potentially. We're done on
the though. Where's the value?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, looking at Edge, maybe the kid out of KU, but I don't know enough about him to say definitively.
The value's in Blake Fisher.
I like that.
That's where the value is. You got so many picks in the top 100, you're going to have to splurge a couple times.
Yeah.
Brendan Rice has yet to be selected.
Blake Fisher was the right tackle to Joe Alt's left tackle at Notre Dame, and he's a guy that Jeremiah has been on record that he really likes as a kind of a guy down the board. And the Cardinals have the luxury of kind of waiting on him and developing him. So here we are at 90, and Brendan Rice held out. And I think that's the play. I like it. I think it's a good depth addition. He could play, back up Wilson at the Z, who could potentially miss time. And you got a casita filled up with Larry Fitzgerald, Marvin Harrison Sr., and Jerry Rice hanging out, just watching ball. A couple Hall of Famers.
That'd be incredible if they flesh out that new garden section in the end zone with Fitz and a couple equal Hall of Famers there.
So make sure to save this, and we'll put it on Twitter, and people can decide what they like between this one and the next one.
I think they'll like this one. But
the mini trade down with the Giants. You got two more day 2 picks. They got their second and their third, and Jim Harbaugh and Joe Ortiz, they took Roma Dunze 5th over. So Marvin Harrison Jr. falls in your lap at 6. Johnny Newton at 27. Zach Frazier, the center from West Virginia, is your center of the future you got with your second-round pick. Your second-round pick, you take the edge out of Bama, Chris Braswell, who moved from inside to the edge spot. Chris Jenkins, national championship interior defensive lineman from the Wolverines. Kyrie Jackson, who was a transfer from Bama to Oregon, played some big-time football this season for the Ducks. Blake Fisher, kind of a developmental tackle, really
right
good
tackle. Yep,
really raw, toolsy tackle that you can develop. And then Brendan Rice, who also has some room to develop at the wide receiver spot. I like it.
Count it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 picks in the top 90. Can you say rebuild complete? I think so. Mock draft complete. We're going to go back here. We're going to go ×2. This one's not going to be as pretty. I'm just predicting because of what may happen with our friends in Minnesota. We're gonna just tweak this ever so slightly, and we're gonna re-enter this draft. And yeah, so listen, at the end of the day, we have to do a trade with the Vikings. They're at 11 and 23. Let's go ahead and start this mock draft. We got Caleb, Drake, and Jaden going 1, 2, 3. And now we call up our friends, our frenemies in Minnesota.
There's Marv right there on the board.
And we say, no thanks, Marvin. And all right, so we start at 11 and 23 for 4. And then obviously we got to get the 1 next year. We're going to force this trade, by the way.
And then I think you throw in is it a 2025 third, or is it a third this year? Do they even have it? They've got a late third.
No, they don't even have a third this year. They got scraps. We need, their third next year. I think this is probably the best we can do right now. 108's a 4th. You want a 4th and a 3rd? We're not even using that pick right now, so I guess I'll just force this trade.
All right.
You like any of these guys? You what about Nick Mullins as a throw-in? All right, we're gonna 3 1s and a 3rd, which is what Albright says is the floor. For whatever reason, we're settling for the floor. We're resuming this, and up at pick 11. Oh God, it's Marvin Harrison Jr. somehow falling to 10. Dallas Turner, God. Joe Alt, Fuaga, Neighbors.
Can you imagine if you're that close? He's sliding, and you're just like, "Oh my God, it's gonna happen."
This is ugly right here. And I don't know. Byron Murphy the second, probably.
Yeah, probably Byron Murphy. The other position I would say is the cornerback. So this is the problem with trading down to 11. This is the big issue, is because you're outside of like the premium talent in this draft. Now it looks a little bit better when you're sitting here at 23 and you've got JPJ and you've got Latu. You got Mims even potentially, who's in Mitchell from Texas down the board. I think you consider JPJ or Latu here.
Yeah, that was going to be my recommendation. I would probably go Latu just based on position value. But here's the problem, and a lot of people have been pushing back on this, and I agree. You're going to take a bunch of defenders in an offensive-rich draft, you know. But if that's how the board falls to you, look how the top 10 went. Offense, 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 defense, offense. Like, you go to 11, you're signing your death certificate that you're going to not have great offensive players to pick from, and then you get scraps at the end of outside the 20s. I mean, or outside of the teens. We're going Latu here, but I don't like it. But it's just the best player at the best position of value.
Yeah, now you're looking at it. I think Mitchell might be your best bet out of Texas. The wide receiver, Donnie Mitchell.
I hate this mock already.
It's tough. He's got good size. You watch his highlights, you can kind of get yourself into it.
I heard he could potentially be the best route runner in the draft. I saw someone push back and say Ladd was, though, but I think.
Did you just straight up take him?
Yeah, I thought you were telling me to take him.
Yeah, I thought we were talking through it, but it's okay.
No, we're not. We're not. I already hate this mock. I want it to be done. Might as well take TJ Tampa here at 35, Bo.
Are you in the same spot where you passed on JPJ? Do you take Zach Frazier here?
Yeah, I think so. So now you got a D. I mean, the player. If you added Marv to this group, it'd be a hell of a group. But you don't have Marv.
I agree. I think that's what my point was. Like, you're passing on him. I think that's you're putting yourself behind the 8 ball.
Might as well just take Jonathan Brooks here and complete the trifecta of just hate.
No, let's not completely just torpedo this thing. People say they hate it, but we can't. You want to just take Jenkins after you took? We took Byron Murphy the second, didn't we?
Yeah. Do you want to go another wideout? I can go wideout 71 here. The Devontae Walker. You want to take him here? I think you have to take another wideout early.
Look at the other wideouts before you take Tez Walker.
Okay. Yeah, because you can wait.
I think we could wait a little bit and get Corley or Rice.
Mm-hmm. Well, okay. You got to pick in 4 selections, so you're good. So we took Frazier, right? So we're good there. Interior.
You don't have a tackle yet. There's nobody available. Penix just went. What do we got here? I mean, yeah, it's you guys decide.
You could double down on defensive line. I mean, Jenkins profiles differently than Murphy.
They could complement each other. I told you Walker was going though. What do you think now? Now we're in a tough spot. You going interior offensive line again with Christian Hayes?
No. You only got so many spots there. Take like a Blake Fisher.
Max Melton.
Let me do it.
Yeah, I mean, you want to sabotage this thing anyway.
Yeah, diversity in this mock from the first one. Man, brutal. I guess you got to go Brendan Rice again, right?
Or Trey Benson.
Oh, yeah. Let's just do that. Let's just put a bow on this mock. I mean, like, this really kind of emphasizes, like, the Vikings trade is not, like, there are a lot of scenarios in which it could be bad.
It makes, like, I don't mind the first 2 picks, but then the entire just complexion of the draft class is watered down.
Your momentum is gone. You don't have momentum.
Those first 3 picks are pretty good.
Like, you think about, yeah, I mean, I think you could talk yourself into Mitchell. You can watch the highlights. You can gas him up all you want. But, I mean, you're going to see from the draft we just did with a mini trade down, or one where you stick and pick Marv, and then you're going to see all those charts, like, as far as what value gained and how it's going to turn into wins in all those different charts that come out after the draft. And I think you're still going to be significantly better with Marvin Harrison Jr. being your 4th overall selection.
Gross. Get this mock out of here. Can't even look at it anymore. All right, we're back. Hopefully we can get some better mocks from you all in our Fan Mock Friday. But before we do that, I want to tell you about our friends at Arizona Lottery, who are introducing a unique new ticket promotion called Arizona Adventure. I live in Arizona. I love a good adventure. You should too. Play Arizona Adventure Lottery. There are 3 ways to play and win big, featuring multiple Arizona iconic landscapes, including my favorite Camelback Mountain. These tickets have prizes up to, count it, $50,000. You can also check in at geolocated areas and adventures at destinations across the state, up to 10, from Flagstaff all the way down to our friends in Yuma boy, Bo Brack. Visit azadventure.com for more details. Check in at destination coordinates on the website or enter tickets online for a chance to win $1 million in cash and Arizona travel prices. It's a call to action. Again, the Arizona Lottery is not just about playing games and winning prizes. It's also about giving back to the community. Proceeds for ticket sales support environmental conservation, which is super important, especially here in Arizona, and across a number of important initiatives here in the Valley. You can take advantage right now, win up to $1 million in cash with Arizona Lottery, Bo.
Yeah, tough to beat that. The games you can play, prizes you can win from AZ Lottery. Also tough to beat Arizona's favorite cannabis kitchen. Our friends over at OG's. Love OG's brands. It's a flavoring Friday. It's also flavoring every day. They're flavoring life. Our friends over at OG's. Check out their full product line, ogsbrands.com. It's gummy madness season, and you got to follow along for 8 competing dispensaries to put gummy versus gummy against each other each week in a bracket to determine the champion. You just vote for it, and you can check out the full brackets. Easiest way to do it is ogsbrands.com. and the winner will receive a buy one, get one free offer. And also, while you're at it, check out all their products, like their vegan gummies. How about their Big OGs, which is a 10 perforated slices of 100 milligrams of THC, huge gummy. And also check out their fruits, their creams. Figure out if you're a fruit or cream guy or gal. You like the mixed bags. They got those now. You can find them in your local dispensaries. To learn more about OG's gummies, where you can find them, head over to OG's Brands. Follow them on your social at OG's Brands. You got to be 21 years or older. And, of course, enjoy it responsibly.
Easton in the chat, thank you so much. $4.99 super chat. Love the podcast. You guys really made a 4-13 season interesting. Well, thank you so much, Easton. Can't wait for the draft party. We appreciate you, Easton. We cannot wait. Perfect transition, my friend. Gila River Resorts and Casinos is hosting the PHNX Sports PHNX Cardinals draft party, night one of the 2024 NFL draft. You can be there. We got tickets remaining. We can get up to 100 people max capacity. We're about 60% of the way there. And again, $35 per ticket's going to get you all you can eat. Hello, all you can drink. Let's do it. Bo and I will be there, as will Damon Dog, Britton Golden, Saul Bookman, and the whole PHNX Cardinals, PHNX Sports gang. We had a meeting today. All hands on deck. Party starts at 4 p.m. Bo and I and Britton go live at the start of the first round. Through the first round, we're going to be there hanging out, handing out prizes, having a banner time, hopefully celebrating the arrival of a certain number 18 wide receiver from Columbus, Ohio. But regardless, be there for the memories, the moments, and all that and more. It kicks off your definitive 2024 Arizona Cardinal draft coverage. We will be live throughout the duration of the draft into Saturday. You'd love to see it, Bo Brack. Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Get your tickets now.
Cannot wait for it. Already talking to a couple people who've locked in their tickets. People, Merv already said in the chat yesterday he's coming. Our guy Brian, you set him up nicely, said that you're buying dirty well shots for him just to be in attendance.
It's the equivalent of the Minnesota Vikings offering 11 and 23. It's about as dirty as it gets.
Some of the final watch parties we had over there, Gila River, we're going to have some great Cardinals and PHNX merch giveaways. So more than likely you show up along with the free food and free drink you're receiving some free swag, like some autographed jerseys. You don't want to miss out on that. So it's well worth the price of admission. Lock in your spot today.
Let's get some mock drafts here. It's Fan Mock Friday.
So we got to rinse out the bad taste of that last mock.
I love this from Tony. I thought it was F around Friday. It is. We're effing around with some fan mock drafts that I guarantee will be better than a lot of mock drafts I saw from some, quote, professionals here in the local and national media. Let's check it out. Bo Brack, get us started.
All right, Damon, let's fire it up. Let's fire up the fan mock drafts. Let's go with our friend, our Solo, who's in the member Discord, dropping some fire. He's going, this is a trade down. Looks like he traded down with the Denver Broncos. We don't like to give our friends over at DMVR nice things, but we are in this case, and you're getting a pick swap, and you're getting a 2025 first and a 2025 second. Still not enough for me, but Malik Neighbors lasts on the board until 12. You get a tackle the future in Tyler Guyton at 27. You got Byron Murphy the second, lasting on the board until 35. Chris Braswell, who we just took a couple of times, at 66. Brendan Dorless, the defensive lineman, versatile player out of Oregon. He's 71st. You get the guard out of Boston College and Christian Mahogany. And then you got DJ James, the corner out of the SEC in Auburn, 90th overall. What do we think on a 5 Monty scale from 1 to the full Monty, Johnny? What are you giving it?
I actually think this is pretty good because of Malik Neighbors at 12. Not realistic necessarily, so I have to ding him there. I would go 3.5 Monties out of 5. The Broncos have been inept for the better part of 10 plus years. They have not made the playoffs since they made the Super Bowl in 2016, and I don't think they're going to get there even with a first-round quarterback. The roster is terrible, so I actually like where those picks project next year, and I really like Tyler Guyton. So I give that 3.5 out of 5.
I'm going to be a little tougher grader here. One, I don't want to trade. I hardly want to trade down to 11 with the Vikings, let alone trade with the Broncos at 12. And then to see the haul, I just don't like the deal to start. And then as far as realism, like you said, Neighbors, Guyton, Murphy, like those next 3 picks. I mean, obviously tremendous value for all those because I don't think either one of those guys, I think they're well below their draft slot. So, but good picks. I'm going to give it I'll give it a 3. Okay. 3 Monty.
3 Monty. We got Don up next, Bo. Don sent this in last week. We didn't do a mock draft fan Friday last week because I was out of the States, and it was crazy time with the Vikings making the trade to get up to 23. So Don's back this week. This is what he's got going on. He's going chalk, and I love these players. I can already tell it's going to be one of my favorite mocks that we do. MHJ at 4, hello. Jerzon Newton at 27. Jackson Powers Johnson, Xavier Legette, Tavondre Sweat, Blake Fisher. 5 out of 5. This is beautiful. This is one of my favorite mocks that anybody's ever done as it relates to sticking and picking. How this board fell for you, I don't know. But if this happened, if I could sign up for this right now, this would be my preferred draft for the Arizona Cardinals. Xavier Legette, I sent both some advanced metrics on him today. He's being slept on, undervalued. Jackson Powers Johnson projects as the next Micah Iupati-esque type of interior offensive lineman. Jerzon Newton, Darnold Dock at 2.0, Tavondre Sweat, a little bit of defensive line depth, and Blake Fisher can play right or left tackle, can be a nice project complementary swing player. The only position you didn't get, edge rusher, can't fill them all. Love this draft.
So you're giving it the full Monty. Tough not to like that one. I like it as well. 4.5 Monties for me. It's tough to get a perfect one, but as you said, the edge position, we're looking for it. But our guy Donnie Mock Drafts knocking it out of the park.
Crushed
How about Reezy Baby jumping in, Damon Dog, with this mock draft? Here it is. He went the distance, pulling off the trade with the Vikings. He gets 11-23, a 4th rounder, a future 1st, and then a future 4th for the Cardinals, 4th overall selection, and a 5th rounder. He slides down to 11, takes Byron Murphy the 2nd, Jackson Powers Johnson 23rd, Latu at 27, pulling off another trade to get back up into the 1st round with the Ravens. He gets pick 30, takes Adonai Mitchell. So he's starting to address the wide receiver position there. Then he's pulling off another trade. Looks like he's trading with the Dolphins. He's going to get another 2nd rounder back, be the one he traded away to Baltimore, and going to get back in there. He's going to take Kyrie Jackson, the corner out of Oregon. He's going to get Brendan Rice in the 3rd round, Patrick Paul, a tackle out of Houston in the 3rd round, Bo Limmer, a center out of Arkansas, played some SEC football, Dylan Johnson in the 5th round, who the Cardinals have had for a top 30 visit, the running back out of Washington. Great personality. I don't know about the game. Steel Chambers, a linebacker out of Ohio State, and then Dominique Hampton, a safety out of UW. Potentially, the Alma of Buda Baker going to come play alongside Huskies legend. What do you think about this one? He got a B+ from the PFF mock draft simulator. What do you think?
I think it's another probably 3 out of 5 Monties for me. And Steel Chambers, he and I locked eyes at the combine, but he's a scary dude. I like the depth, but again, like where's the sex appeal to get a 4 or 5? You got to have that. Again, that's a very meat and potatoes draft. I could see Monti Ossenfort really doing something like that, really liking something like that. But for our exercise, I mean, I think you just have so many players. It's going to be a productive draft one way or the other. But is it going to get you over the hump? How much true value did you get? And right now, this is kind of an unfair stigma that I have. I don't like any trade downs with Minnesota right now. I'm just in a bad mood about that. So I'm going to go 3 out of 5 there.
All right. I'll give it a 3.5. Really trenches driven Murphy,
which is where the Cardinals want to win.
JPJ, Latu, really rebuilding that defensive front 7 outside of JPJ. All right, let's go to our friend. Who else we got?
Is this Ray?
Yeah, Ray emailed me this. Love it, Ray. This is another trade down situation, very similar. This is similar to the draft we did when the day that the Vikings pulled off the deal. So 11, you get 11-23 and a future 1st, and the Vikings get the 4th overall pick. Johnny Newton, Latu, Graham Barton, the versatile offensive lineman out of Duke, to round out your first 3 first-rounders. Then you go Troy Franklin, Xavier Legette, start to address the wide receiver position, back-to-back picks. The big mountain of a man, Tavondre Sweat. My guy, Max Melton, in the 3rd round, 90th overall. Trey Benson, the running back out of Florida State. Tight end U out of Iowa is Eric All. Is that his name?
Yeah.
Did he even go to the combine? I don't even remember him. James Williams, safety out of the U. Nehemiah Pritchett, who had a top 30 visit with the Cardinals, Auburn corner, and then Jalen Green out of James Madison, an edge, B+ from PFF. What do you give it, Johnny?
I give it a 3 out of 5 Monties as well. Again, same kind of cast of characters, but I love the first 5 picks, maybe 6 picks, maybe 3. I'm not being generous enough. Probably 3.5 Monties. Again, like Latu, Jerzon, Franklin. Those are all favorites of mine. Leggett mixed in there, Sweat. So I'll go 3.5. It's hard to get in to the 4 or 5 range, even with a bunch of picks, when you're not locking in an elite in the top 10. A Malik, an Alt, obviously a Marvin Harrison Jr. So for me, it's like a lot of good depth today, but not a lot of gold standard mocks right now. Yeah. But here's what I will say. A lot of people are playing by the rules, and I respect that. They're playing by the rules of trading down, and that's what's being driven by these reports with Minnesota. So I understand it.
I'll give it 2.5 Monties. I like Leggett just as much as you do.
You don't.
I do. You're sending me Leggett pornography in my DMs, like this guy's generation, type stuff, and it's a little embarrassing at this point. But 2.5. It's tough, but it's a tough grading scale with the trade down, and it's just going to go off of whether or not I like it or not. So we've gotten through. Are we at Rudy? Or are we at Dean Lehman? All right, Rudy. I don't know if it's the same Rudy that jumped in with a super chat today, but if it is, thank you.
5 Monties.
5. You're already calling this thing a 5 Monty draft, huh? Marvin Harrison Jr., 4th overall. Then Damon's a lad's lad, so he's going back-to-back wide receivers. You get strikes from me for that. Braden Fisk in the 2nd round. Christian Haynes with your first of 3 third-rounders. Devondre Sweat, Brendan Rice, then getting another interior defensive lineman, Dwayne Carter. Josh Newton, the corner out of TCU. Drake Nugent, center from Michigan. Jalen Green, who we saw just before, an edge from James Madison. And then running back Isaiah Davis. What do we think, Johnny?
I need a cigarette after that mock draft. Good Lord. 3 receivers in the top 90. I will go 3.5 Monties by positional value. Because I'm not a Ladd McConkey guy.
Oh, okay.
If that was somebody different, if that was maybe a Troy Franklin at 27, I gotta think there's got to be a better option than Ladd McConkey after you just take Marvin at 4.
Wow,
that's my
that's the reason for your strike is
I don't like Ladd McConkey. Can I just come out and say it? I like
you don't
Ladd's Ladd
at this point. Your actions are proving
you hate him.
Yeah, you do.
Ladd McPractice squad.
I can't wait for Ladd McConkey to be an all-pro, and Johnny's gonna have to eat his words. But I don't like the 3 wide receivers. Like, I know there's a need, but you got that need filled at the top of your draft from Marvin Harrison Jr. Because like it's just like getting your name right on the SATs. You get it automatic 2.5 stars for Marvin Harrison Jr. and the rest of the way. So I'm gonna give it a 3 Monty mock draft.
What blows you away about Ladd McConkey? He's 6 foot, 185. He's already 22 years old.
His quick twitch,
his route running, smooth. He was body bagging people on the field in Mobile.
Put me in a body bag if the Cardinals take him at 27. Especially if the Cardinals don't get Marvin and then that's the first receiver they draft. I don't know if I can continue with this show. That might be it for your boy.
But you act like Ladd McConkey played in the MAC or something.
Right.
Like he was
his pro comp. His pro comp is Elijah Moore. What does that do for you?
He was the best receiver on the most talented team in the country.
No, Brock Bowers was. As much as I hate Brock Bowers, was
that's not a receiver though.
What's this next mock?
Yeah, all right.
I'll do this one.
McConkey had 1 100-yard receiving game at Georgia. Isn't that great? Oh my God. All right. Let's get D. Lehman.
Give me this one. I bet it's going to be a banger, Bo. Let's see it. Yes, it is.
JPJ, Darius Robinson, Brandon Dorless, Max Melton, Brennan Rice.
4.5 Monties out of 5. Again, 3 bangers to start. Bang, bang, bang. Darius front of the program.
I think it's arguably. I like this one the best. I'm going to give it 4 Monties.
It's really good. It's really good, especially if Darius Robinson can play off the edge in certain packages. Like then you get. My only concern a little bit is like Max Melton, you know how I feel about him, but again, any situation in which you start draft weekend with Marvin and you end day 2 with Brendan Rice, good hell. I'll go 4.5.
Give me Fish's mock. Let's take a look at it. Let's go a little bit more rapid fire here. Fish, Marvin Harrison Jr., Chris Broswell at the back end of the first round. Kool-Aid falling to 35. Blake Fisher, Tavondre Sweat, Brendan Rice.
I don't like Kool-Aid as much as other people. I will say he looked good at his pro day. He looked really good.
4.40. Yep.
I also think you get Kool-Aid at the top of the second after him being a projected top 10 pick all year. I do think he's being undervalued now. I will go 4 out of 5 again. Monty's here. I like Blake Fisher. I like Sweat, Brendan Rice. I still think at some point you may want to take another defensive lineman, but that's 4 out of 5. Solid.
I see one definitive starter out of your first 4 picks, and I'd say that's a 3 Monty draft. There's good guys that project with Kool-Aid and Braswell and Brendan Rice, but they've got to develop. All right, let's go to our last one here. Who's this from? Kevin. Pulled off the deal.
This is my guy, Kevin, by the way.
Oh, this is your boy, Lord Campbell.
He already didn't get enough in his deal with the Vikings, so I'm already a little upset.
Byron Murphy, Adonai Mitchell, Graham Barton, Enos Rakestraw Jr., Marshawn Nealon is a different name that I haven't seen. An edge out of Western Michigan. Jalen McMillan, Brandon Dorless, Kyrie Jackson, Marshawn Lloyd, Bo Limmer, the offensive lineman out of Arkansas, Nelson Caesar, an edge out of Houston, and then Bub Means. What a name. Wide receiver out of Pittsburgh.
How are you, Bub? Hey, Bubby. That's what my parents used to call me out as little Bubby.
Bub Means, wide receiver at Pittsburgh with your final pick. Bub is going to be working at the Circle K down the street from the facility. But
there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that.
All NFL name.
I'm Doctor Strange in Avengers Infinity War. One Monty.
What?
Outcome. That's a 1.
Put Kevin's back up there. That's disrespectful.
I like Kevin. I'm giving him a 1.
Man, that's your boy, Damon.
I know.
You're gonna come to the defense. How many Monties are you giving?
I mean, he got 4 starters at minimum. That's not too bad, right? I mean, you got Graham Barton. He's, your left guard probably.
Yeah, I think your first 4 picks are guys that are gonna vie for starting positions.
So I'll go. It's not the best. The trade isn't great. I'll go 2.5. I'm gonna go mid.
Is he a Vikings fan? Will you ask if he's a fan of the Vikings?
No, he's a Cardinals fan. He's a listener of this podcast, a regular one, loyal one. And you're just.
I do like Jalen McMillan.
I'm a bad person. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I can't
take your grade up.
1.5. that draft capital. That's not enough. It's not enough.
Well, he thinks our second one sucked, and he can say that just because it's a safe place for us.
Who made that mock draft?
Kevin.
Yeah,
Kevin, you're a dear friend of this program. We will try again next week. We will get a new one from you, and we will try again.
Marshawn Nealon's comparison, Zadarius Smith.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to start calling Damon Bub, I think. Hey, Bub.
Hey, Bub.
I like that.
Hey, Bub. Man. We're having a banner time here. It's been a hell of a week here on PHNX Cardinals, and the party never stops. Frankly, at gophnx.com, become a diehard, pick up a free hat and or shirt every single year. You are a diehard. The member Discord was popping today all week. You got exclusive highlights, clips.
Somebody edited in the Spider-Man foot, like the scene where Johnny described if they move off of Marvin Harrison Jr. where they like crowd surf his body out of there because he's just completely like tattered and beaten from trying to save the city. They put Johnny's head on it. There it is. That's the stuff you're missing out in the member Discord. The fun continues. The only way that you can get in there is becoming a diehard today. Just go phnx.com, join the fun. It never stops.
It like Cardinal conversation. I'll be like sitting in my bed. It'll be after midnight. I'll just go in the Discord and start ramping off thoughts into the ether. I'll think into the ether, and then like people will respond. It's just, it's a great place to be a Cardinal fan.
A bunch of other sickos like Johnny that are up at 2 a.m. just thinking about the draft all night.
That's all I think about. Super chats.
I get a response. You get on Twitter and you just rip off a couple thoughts like that. They could just be into the void. Like you do it in the Discord, people will at least respond.
It's a safe space.
It is.
Twitter's not a safe space, and I know that going in. Our Discord's very safe. Shawnee Venerable, $4.99. You, me, and Blow were supposed to start the PHNX Cardinals Smoke Fest like 20 minutes ago. Is he here tripping off 4Gs and 4 Peaks like always? I'm gonna tell you right now, that sounds like a hell of a Friday night. My family would like me to order Papa John's instead, Shawnee Venerable. So I don't know if that's happening. That could be like we get Marvin the night of the first round of the NFL draft, and we're all hanging out, having a good time into the wee hours as I'm cranking out my 2-round mock draft at gophnx.com. I don't know if that's happening today, my dude. Thanks for the super chat.
No PHNX Cardinals Smoke Fest. We have to reschedule. It's after the draft. Charlie Sinclair, honestly, you think MHJ would rather play for Harbs or Gannon?
I don't think he cares. Well, here's what I would say, Charlie. Paris Johnson Jr. is a big fan of Jonathan Gannon, and I would imagine his say has a lot of weight and merit to Marvin.
I think you would rather play for Gannon. That's an honest answer.
think it's the NFL, and you play for any coach that drafts you, and it's not college where you get recruited and get to pick which coach you want to play for.
But I think as far as relatability, I think Jonathan Gannon relates to his players a little bit more, and that's not a knock on Harbaugh. It's a tough question, honestly. And Harbaugh obviously has backed it up even during his NFL days. He 3 of the 4 NFC conference championships. His team was in it. Great coach. We'll see if there's anything as far as he's been gone for 9 years. So we'll see.
He's gonna win, but he's an intense guy. And I mean, I do think Marvin is going to land in a great spot for him, regardless of which team drafts him.
Herbert or Kyler? I mean,
right.
That's the harder question to answer as a Cardinals fan, right? I mean, who would you rather be catching passes from for the next half decade?
Yeah, because I think Jim and John both have enough wherewithal to say, like, let's get Marvin the ball. Like, they're not. Whereas, like, I mean, Herbert's been the better thrower of the football in terms of like total yards, and then Kyler is probably much more of a precision passer. And Herbert's been better recently, but Kyler Murray, I think, is going to have his best year as a pro. So you get to play in Los Angeles or Arizona as compared to New York right now in that QB wasteland, the Patriots. Like, Marvin's going to be fine wherever he's going.
Yeah, he's going to be in a good spot. He doesn't have to go to those. I mean, Chicago's in a good spot, but Washington still trying to figure it out. New England's got a long way to go. It's been a great week. We got a little punch drunk here at the end of it. We've been just sifting through trade rumors and potential trade down.
I'm sweaty after that.
Mock draft.
Some sweat going.
Damon just threw his phone in the trash by accident.
Did you win $700 yesterday, Damon? I never asked you.
I did.
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a big win. Big W.
Nice.
I'm going to the GCU watch party tonight. You see me out there at GCU Arena, say hi. Otherwise, enjoy the rest of the madness. Check out gophnx.com, become a diehard. And if anything breaks over the weekend, we're going to fire these mics up, talk some Cardinals football with all you great people. Subscribe to PHNX Sports, wherever you find podcasts. Leave a 5-star rating and a review. Goes a long way for us, your boys, Bo, Johnny, and Damon. We'll talk to you Monday, if anything, barring anything breaking. Talk to you then.
We all silly like the mayor.